Welcome back to Dark Nexus. Tonight, it's Act 2, Chapter 87. It's the afternoon of the 10th of Neth, a day following a fairly brutally crushing dream shared with your own personal elder god. A dream that felt for the first time almost slightly pointed, unless that eternal pulsing drumbeat of "you don't matter" is just the baseline of its own consciousness rather than a message to you. It's hard to say. Probably impossible to know. Best not to think about it, really, if you can. Or look, I'll just put this out here. There is always drugs. Barnabas can testify personally that they work for a while.
Until they do not anymore.
Yes. And after an evening spent killing a dead child, torching a mansion, and walking away from Ray, then that dream of Carcosa's sewers. None of you are gnomes, so you don't have the bleaching to wrestle with, but maybe you're all in your own way, starting to get a taste of what that might feel like. The beginning of a slow spiral of bleakness and depression. Perhaps a growing confusion between dogged relentlessness and the erosion of personality and curiosity. The question of whether to give in and plod along, or to fight that which is slowly sucking all color out of you and your will to live, to actually choose to live to your fullest potential in the time remaining to you. It's a question. It's a real question, and it's one that the four of you will need to wrestle with in your own ways on behalf of these characters the further we go along here. As we keep bridging the storytelling between Act 2 and Act 3, I put that out there to the four of you as a prompt to carry with you forward, because I won't always be able to bombard you with Jamandor dreams every single day. But remember that this grand cosmic sense of the hopelessness of the task of fighting against the will of something as immensely powerful as the inmost blot, much less the being which it serves. That sense of absolute hopelessness is now just part of the background noise of your psyches. Each of you will have to live in relationship to it, and how your characters handle it will be up to you. Storytelling Gauntlet Throne. Now, three of these characters had a similar choice in their past lives, and we just learned a little bit about how they handled their relationship to the immensity of Jamandor Carcosa, the Yellow King. So let's step back and talk a little bit about what we heard and how you and or your characters, wherever you're sitting at today, are processing it. I got a few prompts here to throw out to just kind of get the conversation rolling. First of all, I was curious about, we started to talk a little bit just after the mics were turned off, and I want to bounce back to this, Vaticus, and the sense you now have of that person, his role in your lives, his role in his own life, and your sense of this Lol's Mun Vaticus triumvirate, how you are processing it or how your characters are processing it. I'm particularly interested in Victor, obviously, because Johnny's keyed his whole madness around that. But you've all lived in one degree or another in relationship with that character since you woke up.
Well, my first question is how do I get this information? Is this...
Dora shares it.
Share it all with you.
Do you share it with me individually? Are we all brought into a room together?
It was 8 hours worth of study, so I'm sure I shared it all at once.
A download.
Yeah.
So a brief gathering after this period for some info dump.
I mean, I think that as you're talking about this, I think that my response would be to deny it and then to want proof that was what it actually said.
Yeah.
I think I would want to go and read it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Dora would show you the references, hand over the pieces that I already digested, and let
but
you...
she would know how important that would be to him, right?
Yes, but there's nothing Dora can say.
No.
So I think she's curious about what handing over in Lowell's own hand, he would respond to it. she's not going to try to keep it from him. It's not her research, it's theirs.
Yeah.
But I don't know that she would engage with you on it. She's not going to argue the veracity of the printed, of the written word that she's handing over.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
So,
I
but
don't
I think she's probably curious about how you respond to it.
I think as you're telling us that, it would be. I want to see that.
Yeah.
And we know that you speak you speak and write and read enough of the languages in this journal that, once she finds all of this data for you, it's data you can process. You can read it. You're able to, you couldn't have found it, but when it's there shown to you plainly, Victor does see it and can read it.
It's such a complicated question because obviously this is coming from Lowell's point of view, and the clearest thing in these journals, which I might not be talking about because this is my interpretation of it, is that he is an insecure, pathetic idiot, loser, and this is his version of who Macnean is, Myacnean and who Vaticus is. So that's how, I'm not saying this is the end-all be-all of who these people are, but it's not... It's an interpretation of Lowell's, not mine.
Give me a will save against your paranoia.
That is a 20.
That is a rousing success. And if you are willing to accept this, I'm going to knock 2 points off of your sanity damage, presented with some actual, I don't know how anybody else's madness could possibly face up with this, but you chose something that could possibly be slightly refuted by an outside source that has information. If you think maybe you're down at 9 sanity damage instead of 11, you can be.
Yeah.
Especially since you beat that check.
Yeah, I think...
So it doesn't fundamentally prove anything to him.
Yeah.
However, something gets in?
Yeah, no, I totally buy that. I think that I would probably take the journals and stuff and go and look at them on my own.
If I'm done with them, you can have them. They're yours.
Yeah.
But there are other pieces of it that I probably wouldn't give over because they haven't been. They're still part of this library that I haven't done yet. I'd give you anything that I've already. Take it.
Easily done.
Yeah.
And I think that. To me, this is the sort of thing when you're sharing this information, you get to that point. That's the point where it stops for me, and I take this and I walk out with these journals and.
But his response is to hole up with it.
Yeah.
And to not engage with the others because he's got some reading,
some wrestling
to do. What's the story of Tima?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Tima. I think Dora is not checking in, but Dora, almost more so than the research, has been mulling over the ally that Daria summoned. Mm-hmm. Just the little tidbits, this little glimpse of the other world that she came from has been haunting her a little bit, and the different relationships and the way Daria referred to Dr. Vaticus killed Ray. She didn't say my dad killed Ray. She didn't say Dr. Vaticus killed my brother. The whole, she's because Tima's life doesn't feel like her life. She's watching a television show about these other people that she happens to look like one of them.
Yeah.
So that's where her mind has been, and I think she wasn't really surprised by anything she read in here. She got the impression of Myacnean both from Dabbs talking about him as this philanthropist,
right,
and from her own psychometry reading on the wedding ring of who he was. And I think she's not surprised to hear that he thought Vaticus was a loser and couldn't, kind of get anything together. Also based on psychometry readings and stuff. Lowell's himself is the curiosity here. So she from the research, she mostly got out of, this is the kind of insecure rich idiot that we're dealing with, who's out there somewhere, and we're probably gonna go track him down.
Right.
She wants to know as much about him as possible. But in the last fight, she wouldn't let Tima out with all the Darias around, and she made a choice to assert dominance over her, and I think that's being maintained in a way.
She's keeping her really quiet.
She's keeping her really quiet, and she hasn't had much luck in the past with checking in to see how Tima's doing. They don't have conversations together. Right. So I think she thinks that's a dead end. So the only way to really find out what's going on with Tima is to let her out, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
Because the key forefront of Dora's mind is that she will take any opportunity to scream Jean and Dor among people who aren't infected, and that's not. Dora's not going to let that happen. Dora, to your earlier point, is going to fight.
Yeah.
So that's not happening.
So we learned that when Ray left town, he did go to Cheliax. That is where he spent a chunk of his life between his childhood and appearing back in town in his early adolescence as a priest of a very dark god.
The constable's stuff, where he was constantly telling Ray he would erase his records, did that happen before or after Ray went away?
That happened in recent years after Ray was back.
Okay.
That it seems like Ray came back and was actually maybe for the first time a part of this crew, because it sounds like he probably was not as a child. Came back with some intention, joined this crew, got involved with all the shit that was going down, and as the years went on, sank deeper and deeper into very self-destructive and violent behavior. I can take a knowledge local check on one little thing to just kind of close some circles from book 1.
25.
Yeah. The second dream that Ray had in Act 1, where he was in the city of thorns and brambles, on the shoreline of a giant pool of tears perpetually shed by a lonely deific maiden hovering in the sky, chasing chains and then killing others and killing himself with those chains.
Yeah.
As this information spills out, Victor immediately recognizes, oh shit, the capital city of Cheliax is Egorian, which is known as the City of Thorns, and it is on the lake shore of a lake called Lake Sorrow. That obviously some piece of Ray's subconscious hung on to some sort of allegorical details about where this event or process or whatever was happening, and that sort of confirms some information that Ray had been carrying, delivered to him by his subconscious early on. And there's a similar thing going on in Grips as we get confirmation that he was from Garund, and that whole story of coming from Biting Lash. Give me another local check there, Johnny, for Victor.
24.
Fun. Grip dreamed. First dream. Was he the first dream of the campaign?
I think so.
Yeah. The one of the towering black volcano, vomiting lava, like split entrails. I think a whole bunch of circles are closed here in this moment with just time, and as Victor remembers more things that weren't personal to him but are knowledge known in the world. The largest active volcano in the Brazen Peaks is named Mount Kiba. It is known as the Smoker, and during eruptions, these slow but steady rivers of lava course down the mountain's northern slope, emptying out into the vast plains below, where nomadic tribes of gray-skinned orcs do constant battle with the gnolls of the Carrion King. The Brazen Peaks is this huge mountain range in northern Garund it's a natural border between the nations of Osirian and Katapesh, which then opens up the possibility of another... I can take a local checker from Victor. I can take a history check from Dora.
25.
Okay.
22.
And that's your local?
Yep.
So this gets you all thinking and stewing on Katapesh, which is this nation on the shore of the Obari Ocean in sort of northeastern Garund. One of the largest cities in Katapesh is known as Okano. It started as a pirate cove and it's now one of the main centers of the continental slave trade. It's legendary for its flesh fairs, and it is called the Yellow City because of the sickly yellow sails of the slavers that flock there. It has an abnormally large knoll population and lies tucked on this sheltered bay between towering mountains from the brazen peaks. This city was briefly viewed way back in the Act 1 prologue. I described it as a yellow city baking in the sun, surrounded by mountains, filled with a gluttonous cacophony of growls and barks like hyenas squabbling over a carcass, filled with human screams and flags and banners with writing that make no sense. So this sort of shared vision from the moments of first waking up, like, okay, hang on, all right, that's okay, no. And then Victor ties with the most feared, hated, and successful slavers in that city is a Flind ranger named Biting Lash. Her symbol, her brand, is the brand that the two of you have on your necks, Victor and Grip. Flinds are these incredibly large, monstrous gnoll mutants brought into existence through the worship of Lamashtu. And this Biting Lash is this gigantic, monstrous gnoll. She's a legendary ranger, and she's known for a brown eagle companion that has flown by her side and rested on her shoulder for over a decade, which then brings Grip back to a whole bunch of like late Act 1 dreams of running in fear from giant monstrous figures, huge eagles in a building made of thorns again. But with that little bit of information, you're able to start to put some geographical location on some of you in this previous era of time. Yeah, please.
The children with dogs with children faces, is that the kobolds? The
gnolls?
That's probably the gnolls. That's probably the allegorical subconscious representation that Grip was creating in his mind of what was chasing him, what was hounding him, what had perhaps captured and enslaved him.
Where is Garand?
That is
continent.
That's the continent south of Avestan. So below the inner sea, it's the entire gigantic continent.
Oh.
Are you looking at a map right now?
He's looking at it, yeah.
Can you see Osirian? Like on a big map, you might not see Katapesh. You might have to zoom way in.
I've got the Mwangi Expanse, the
North of
Impossible Lands.
Go east.
Here's Katapesh.
Got
Here's
it.
Osirian.
Yeah. So Katapesh is where Biting Lash is from. The mountain range that separates Katapesh and Osirian is presumably the area which you are from. Probably on the Osirian side, actually.
Okay.
If you were one of the orcs of the plains there, because the gnolls pretty much have a lockdown on the Katapeshi side of that mountain range. This Carrion King is a big gnoll warlord who rules from a mountain called the Pale Mountain or something. I think I don't have that in front of me. If I have that wrong, I do, but now it's canon. If it's not Pale Mountain, now it is Pale Mountain. Let's see, anything else I can offer checks on? So Victor was able to plow through Melison's journals last time, and we had a little reading from sort of her last days. Between the information in there and the scanned information about Melison inside Lowell's journals, this would be a fine moment if any of you have any questions about what the fuck was going on here, or sort of lingering questions about the storyline. There may be answers for you that I just didn't put into whatever we read, but I can probably square away those now. I know there was a lot of confusion on the first entrance about what are all these things doing here? Why are they here? Are they working with them? Were those questions answered to your satisfaction?
Yeah, I mean, feels like they were all like hired up as like part of the Great Harvest, and this was a well thought out and well executed and well ordered plan according to a timetable.
Yeah,
except the Hound.
Right. So the
And
Hound,
the Star Vampire
Star
showed up,
Vampire.
right?
they showed up drawn by the stones once they were turned on. That clearly these things as interstellar beacons, they work. Whatever, Melison's final vision of the Great Harvest obviously didn't happen because you stopped it. But they did do their job. They started to draw things to Golarion, which got here in pretty fast order. And they also woke up the elder things that Grip and Dabs found in the basement. Who
Keep forgetting about them.
I know, we're going to have to deal with them at some point.
So those
Yeah.
elder things, they have been there for quite some time, we think?
That is what you think, that they may have been hibernating there from,
For centuries.
yes, eons, potentially? Wow. Yeah.
Let's finish them off.
Let's make them go away.
And they're at roughly the same depth level as that Stella in the
no, a
last
little,
one in the basement.
higher, a little higher. Actually, no, significantly higher. They're like 200 feet up because they are actually closer to the surface than to the Stella.
Terrifying.
Terrifying.
Ugh.
I think Grip is a little like he's had this vision of Lols, like trying, like the memories that come back, and as someone who is like a mover and a shaker and is the puppet master, and this picture of him as an incompetent fuck, a coward, it makes him want to kill him more, but I don't know. Like, he still wants to do it because he still feels like he was integral in robbing whatever Grip's life would have been.
Yes.
But it's got a different flavor to it. Like, feeling like he's just a sad fuck
Yeah.
who doesn't know what he's doing. And yeah, it's a different picture it's altering his worldview a little bit.
And it's, it did seem like he did require Tima for a lot. Like, Tima did the bulk of the research for him. Like,
He's not that smart.
he's just
That's
so
it.
convinced he deserves everything he wants that he'll do anything.
It's the smartness. It's the recognition that he's not that much smarter than fucking I am.
Probably not.
That it's making him angry.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
He's just a rich dude with money.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's playing around with he went through a phase of playing around with people's lives, and now he's playing around with, potentially, as far as we don't know quite yet his full plan, but potentially playing around with everyone's lives, just for the sake of what? His own
Being right.
ego? Yeah, exactly.
Academics.
This is probably Dab's first deep dive into the full backstory here, right? We do know that, like, I forget how it was phrased, but we did talk about Dabs was given enough information to kind of go into Fort Hillcourse with you all.
Right.
Hey, we lost our memories, blah, 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 blah. Very carefully, no mention of Jamandor and Hastur. That all came out later. We learned a little bit more about Carcosa as we went along. We learned about Dabs's sort of past brushes with the conglomerate city. But this is the first really, sense of these people's lives and the totality of both what they lost and what is going on here. How does that sit with Dabs? What's Dabs' relationship to that?
I think of how Dabs is wise, but not very intelligent. Mm-hmm. And so Dabs is looking at connections and landmarks and thinks that what we're learning about Gulliver,
Yeah.
Vaticus,
Mm-hmm.
there might be some basis for Vic's paranoia, because a man like Vaticus would angle to make themselves as powerful as possible, and so there might have been some manipulation. If what I'm picking up about Ray and the daughter are true, there was some machinations going on at the Vaticus level.
Yeah, maybe he had to point it at the weakest, those that were.
He
weaker
could only
than him.
manipulate his children.
Yeah, he can only manipulate down. Yeah.
To especially against the people that he felt most threatened by.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little sympathy towards Victor in finding,
Oh.
yeah, he's not all that far off. Vaticus is at the basis of a lot of dysfunction in this group.
Yeah, so this madness about a dead man who I've been told is dead is somehow doing all this has a different context for Dabs.
Right. There's some
that.
lingering.
How are you feeling about finding out just how deep Myacnean Mun's thumb goes into this whole pod?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that and the shared dream, just because I'm surrounded by this text lately, I've been there's some Hamlet echoes. You know how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable this world seems when men like Myacnean Mun are actually horrible villains.
Yeah.
And I thought he was such a good person.
The cover was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was no doubt in Dabbs' mind. There is no doubt in the city of Casimir's mind.
Right. And now there is no doubt in Dabwick's mind that this man is evil.
Something is rotten in Casimir.
Yes,
Exactly.
at the heart of Casimir.
But the answer is to take up arms against the Sea of Troubles.
Here we go.
And by
So
opposing
fight.
them.
Fight.
Yeah,
Oh, we got so Hamlet here. I love
we
it.
did.
Do we have what is our sense of Ariadne? Did the information from Ellison paint a slightly clearer picture, or did that just confuse things more for you?
My first thought when I was reading it,
Yeah.
which it's hard to read it and take
And
it
to
in
think,
at the same
yeah.
time, you know. But I had a pause. I don't think she was talking to Ariadne. That's the big takeaway. I think whoever she was talking to wanted her to think she was talking to Ariadne. But it was something else going on.
She certainly seemed to think she was talking to something and then realized she was talking to another and then questioned
Yep.
who she was talking to all along.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as Dora, I mean, Dora has some personal experience with whatever this signal is, because downstairs in the basement, next to that fully charged stone, you know, she
Yeah.
kept hearing these whispers getting louder, and it was not something that the rest were cluing into as carefully as Dora was. You know, it was an abject sense of confusion about the identity of these whispers. Like, what even is this that is trying so hard to speak through? At a certain point, Melisande was absolutely convinced it was Hastur. At a certain point, she was absolutely convinced it was Ariadne. Dora's unsure.
But it was enough to sort of break her out of her own self-destructive tendencies and
Yes.
be active and a force to be reckoned with.
She turned her life around. Absolutely.
Was the hag, the night hag,
Yeah.
also was drawn to Ariadne?
A fairly similar story. Suddenly, she could hear Ariadne, and we've keyed it to the moment, you know, the original four woke up. Suddenly, she could hear Ariadne, that she was here but not here. The understanding of where this being was certain and absolutely confused. Both things simultaneously. So yeah, that night hag had a very similar story to Melisande's. Suddenly, she was very, very present. I knew she was almost here. I dare not go to sleep any longer. Yeah, similar thing going on.
I'm thinking about it and thinking about how, if it's something similar to how our minds were wiped, where it's like, oh, they're here, but we're not ourselves anymore. Where it's like, if something similar happened to Ariadne, because we still don't know what it was that happened to us that
No.
took away our memories and took away us,
No.
or why that happened.
No.
Or if it was on purpose, or if it was an accident, or what.
Yeah. Maybe we'll learn that today.
Do we know what Wherein was looking for with the plates?
Oh, let's talk about Wherein. There was also the information that Wherein has been involved in. You know that she's been involved with your lives since a very early point, but that also the entire time you lived here, she kept continuously returning to check in on you, as if you were a project of some sort. Obviously, Lols didn't question Wherein and didn't know, but that sense of this being having a more purposeful relationship with you than coincidental. The initial introduction probably felt very coincidental, like, oh, I'm a kid and here's this person and now we're, she stumbled upon me, but that may not have been the case.
The only creature still living that could possibly know anything was that one scum that escaped.
Oh, Daggerbotha, right?
Daggerbotha.
Daggerbotha got away.
Which, I'm not going to lie, there was a while when in Dab's little scene that last time.
Yeah.
When they were talking to what's his name that wound up. I'm like, I wonder if that's Dagobah in like with disguised.
And I just separated somebody again. I wish I thought of that. No. That would have been amazing. Well, excellent. Any more things we want to bring up or questions we want to ask at this point, or should we move on to the next activity?
Next activity.
Vic would definitely like go and pour over this information that he got from Dora, all these tomes and stuff, the journals.
Yeah.
And then he would want to go and find Grip and talk to him.
Okay. Let me try to put some timestamps on some of this then. So, during the beginning of the afternoon block, Dabs and Vic were helping with getting the lumber off of the wagon train and into the depository. That only would have lasted for so long. And then I know Dabs is still working towards finalizing the Rat King and Rat situation in the manor today, I think, right?
Yes.
So, sort of carrying over your Ratter check from yesterday, I think Dabs has a choice here as they contemplate sealing off permanently the Rat King's side tunnel. You successfully yesterday, before you got distracted by Elder Thing, you successfully yesterday were able to essentially like corral all of the rats down into the Rat King's hole.
Yeah.
So one choice would be to get them all down there and seal them up with the Rat King, or to try to drive them a different direction, like out of the house entirely before you seal up the Rat King. How does Dabs want to handle that?
I want the natural order of rats in the world to be sustained, and I don't want to disrupt that.
Yeah.
But the Rat King's an abomination.
Yeah.
And cannot be connected to them anymore. So I want to drive them away from the Rat King and either kill him or seal him off.
Split their party, and cut off the head.
Yeah.
I love it. So Dabs is spending the large chunk of the afternoon in preparation to do some stone shaping, getting the rats out of the house and back out into the wilderness. You can send them in the direction of the woods to the northwest.
Yeah, isn't the old manor ruins back there? That's where
new home.
That's where rats belong. It's where the old house that became stables.
Oh, so we can picture in our mind's eye Dabwick marching down the hill
The Pied
with the
Piper.
flag in hand,
God.
with probably herding a sea of rats in front of them, actually, in this case, towards the old manor in preparation for tonight's goings-on.
I'm picturing the Great Escape music as he's marching down. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum.
Dink, dink.
Then Dabs meets up with Dora and the rest of the group, and we have this conversation about Dora's learning. So while Grip is taking care of the lumber, Victor, what's the first chunk of this block?
Victor had said that he wanted to talk to Denman about possibly getting a tattoo, and he's all clean. He's sort of like
I forgot about the bath. Yes.
new man.
Yeah.
You know, he's now I'm Vic. So he is going to go and try to find Denman and check in on him and see if he might be able to do a little stick and poke on him.
Yeah. Den is still working at the stain, getting things in order, and wrestling with, is this the kind of responsibility I want? Is this the relationship with the community that I want? And a distraction of doing a tattoo, he's in. What tattoo do you get?
The way that he describes it to Denman is, he's like your feathers, you know, they each mean something to you.
Yeah.
And, I want to be respectful to our heritage. But what I feel like has been happening to me is that I've been being sort of cracked and broken open. And so I want something that shows me being sort of slowly cracks in me. And so I think it's the sort of thing where it starts on one arm and sort of works its way up to his chest.
Yeah, what's that art form where they take the broken pottery?
The Japanese art form.
Yeah, and they rather than destroying an object that had been broken, they repair it and they keep the, quote, flaw and turn it into part of the character of a new thing. Interesting. So you're looking for, like, tracery of cracking on your skin. Where does Kitsugi, thank you. And where does it start? On your arm?
I think it starts on his left arm and sort of works its way up his arm to his shoulder and then onto his chest.
How badly are you cracked right now? How much you want me to do all that right now?
You tell me, how badly do you think I'm cracked right now?
Oh shit, man. All right. Cracks his knuckles. Let's get to work. Yeah, he'll give you that trait. I mean, because if we're talking about lions, this is something he could do. He could cover your arm and go up to, like, just onto your chest.
Yeah. Like over his heart kind of thing. And I think that somewhere in here, Den, as he's doing this, it goes a little bit awry, and so the cracks start to get a little bit larger, where it's like, is something making its way out?
Cool.
That's very, very cool. So it's like a very delicate split by your wrist, and slightly larger and jaggeder and more gapey, like the higher up towards your heart it gets. Fun. And then before we meet with Dora to download about what she's learned today, the two of you can hook up, Vic and Grip. Victor's got a plan to hunt down Keldrin Mon, and we know we've got Nyx sitting in the top of the dungeon.
In my old bedroom.
Give me a, let's see.
Knowledge local?
Where does he hang out? Where does he hide? Where does he live? Yeah, I'll take a knowledge local.
20.
Okay. Yeah, you know where his house is at. Where would he be? He would probably be near the stain. Oh, interesting. Yeah. He might be in one of those houses that overlooked the Kuru ambush.
Oh.
That, like, circle of houses near the stain that was over the well on that part of town. Down kind of, the far west end of town, sort of at the edge of town there. You are able to locate his house, and in all of the, like, there's not much, in terms of commerce or business, there's not too much going on in town today, because there's kind of this feeling of a held breath. Everyone's sort of waiting for all of this to resolve itself as cleanup is happening. And, we know that there's going to be this ship and these people possibly leaving, a big change in town, and folks are wrestling with what will leadership be, who is going to step up, is anyone going to step up? And you can locate the slightly sleazy-looking dude in his 20s, little newsboy cap, some natty leather vest, who answers the door upon a knock. Just probably has a little quick moment of, oh shit, try to close the door.
Put the foot in.
Foot jam. I always knew this day would come. Constable? And then he looks towards Victor and then breaks eye contact and doesn't say a name, specifically does not say a name. He opens the door and gestures into his humble home.
Have a seat.
Grip will shut the door and stand in front of the door.
Oh, God. All right, he sits down at his little table with 2 chairs.
Got anything to drink in here? I just walk over to the cabinets and start rifling through.
He has things to drink in there. Rum and whiskey.
I get 2 small cups.
Yes.
And a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
And I pour 1 shot for him. I pour 1 shot for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sit down across the table from him.
He's holding the cup in his hands and staring down at it. Again, very specifically not making eye contact.
Keldrin.
Yes.
Look at me.
It takes a second, and you can see an echo of some lesson having to have been taught this man about the consequences of making eye contact with you flash briefly in his face. You know what I'm saying? But he holds your eye contact with a little bit of effort.
Do I know anything else about him other than that he was part of, like, my little crew?
Yeah, you would. He would have a day job as cover, probably, let's say he worked for the fish market in a more administrative role, like managing the stalls, managing the flow of who gets to sell fish there that day, helping out with organization for like the smaller outfits like Tolly Ramsatter, where it's just like a single dude with a boat. But that, yeah, he was, whispered to secretly be a runner and eyes and ears for the two of you.
But so he didn't necessarily do like wet work or anything like that, or that I know of.
Knowledge local. Let's see if you know that.
23.
The Triangle Man loved the wet work too much to put that on guys like this. Would be what you would think of rumors being around town.
And roughly how long have there been whispers that he worked for us?
3-4 years.
And how old is he?
He's in his mid-20s.
Okay. So he was just a regular guy.
Yeah, seems like it. What's the character in The Sopranos? Robert Patrick, the guy who
The gambler.
gets tangled up, like makes one little mistake and gets tangled up in something that probably was not the trajectory of his life.
And now he's just been trapped.
Yeah. And looking around his place, it seems like there's not much to his life except probably maintaining his cover and surviving working for the two of you. Seems pretty bleak.
So, tell me about yourself, Keldrin.
I don't know what to say to you. I don't know the answer to this code. I don't know what the weather is today. I don't know where I was born. I don't know what I do for fun. I don't know the answers to these questions anymore, sir.
No, sir. Just Vic. I don't either. I've come to try to make amends.
Under the threat of torture, he looks over at Grip looming in the door frame there.
I didn't know how bad you were. I didn't know if you came and worked for me willingly. I didn't know if you were as bad as I was. I didn't know. Did I come here prepared to do something that I'd regret later? Maybe. But now that I see you, I see how you're living, I have a feeling that you didn't willingly get involved in anything with me. Is that right?
At one time, I thought it was what I wanted. I was very wrong.
And now?
If I never saw either of you again for the rest of my life, I would consider myself a happy man.
And if you never saw us again, what would you do?
Start over.
Doing what?
Only thing I know is fishing. Maybe I can take over old Two Bits' operation. Gurns. They're both pretty old. They're both pretty old. I don't know, maybe Tully would be interested in a partner. I don't know. The lake, this town is all I know.
Would you be happy doing that?
I don't know what happiness is. Would I be at peace? I don't know, maybe. This fucking town.
Yeah. The more I learn about this town, the more I figure that part of what made this town so bad was us.
He laughs at the irony of you discovering that, but doesn't speak.
But hopefully, this town won't have us to worry about anymore. We're going away.
You are leaving.
Yeah. I don't think we'll be back. Could be wrong, I don't know. But I can promise you that I and the constable here have no interest in our old jobs.
Is that true, Constable?
Do you see a fucking badge on me at the moment?
No, sir, I do not.
Grip goes over and takes the whiskey bottle and starts drinking out of it.
Yeah. Little hair of the dog after last night with Denman. What are you going to do?
Oh, I got plenty on my plate right now. A fellow I used to know said that we got a lot of red in our ledger. And we got to clear it out. So I guess I'll be working on that for a while.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well, here's to second chances.
Yeah. A little faint glimmer of hope in his eyes at that. Raises his glass.
Clink.
Clink.
And I would probably pull like some kind of diamond or whatever, like one of the pieces of something that we have that's worth not tons, but like something that to him would be extremely significant.
Yes.
Like a 50 gold piece, something.
Yeah.
And drop it on the table and go,
This isn't payment. It's not a bribe. It's a hope for you to maybe start over some new way. Dig yourself out of that hole a little bit.
Quickly pockets one of Namira's pearl earrings. Well, thank you.
You don't have to thank me for anything. I'm the one that should be apologizing to you. Sorry. We'll be on our way.
Yeah, I gotta go to work.
On the way out, Grip drains the bottle and like just puts it in his chest, and on his way out says, "This fucking town."
Nix?
I suppose I ought to go talk to that one.
Yeah.
All right, I got your back.
All right, I don't think it's going to come to that, but we'll see.
Top of the fort. Climbing those stairs up the dungeon tower where Dabwick and Paul cunningly trapped my NPC.
so cunningly.
Fool every one of us in the room.
Oh, can we open it? If he put a hold portal on it, can we go in?
That only lasted for long enough for me to get a guard.
Oh,
so,
okay. All right.
so now it's just normally locked.
Okay.
You climb your way up those stairs that have just god-awful memories for, I think, especially Grip.
Yeah.
Because he was the one that, by the end of that particular day,
Yeah.
Grip ended up just a colossally pummeled, exhausted mess. But you can make your way up, and then there's the exterior stairs that lead to that third floor. And as you approach, you can hear him yelling behind the door, "Oh man, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass! Halfling! You hear me? I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you!" And then as you approach the door, and he hears footsteps on the steps, oh shit! Totally silent.
We'll open the door.
His sort of scruffy, disheveled, wide-eyed self is huddled in the far back corner. Oh man. Oh man. Oh shit. Oh
Hey,
shit.
Nix,
Hey.
Nix, why don't you shut your fucking mouth for just a minute?
And I walk in behind him and close the door.
Did you know that you're in my room? You know, this is where I used to fucking live.
Look, it's not my fault. It's the halfling's fault. Immediately throws Daps under the bus.
Let's not have any more talk about fucking killing the fucking halfling for starters.
Okay.
Agreed?
Okay.
Now you're going to sit there and listen. I've come to collect a few of my things. I've got to get a fucking change of clothes before I leave town.
Okay.
But let's have a little chat, shall we?
Can I just ask you one thing really quick?
Go.
Can you please make it as painless as possible? I don't do great with pain. Mm-hmm. It's something I seek to avoid in the normal course of my life.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to make you any promises,
Okay.
but I'll take it under consideration.
His eyes are just like wildly darting. You can tell he is practiced at finding like a way to weasel out of a room or a situation. And when he says he hates pain, truer words.
I keep waiting for him to go, praise.
So Grip, he takes a minute. He finds a new pair of pants. He finds a new shirt, something to take with him for when it's time to leave. And then he goes over and gets right up into his face and looking down at him. I'm guessing if he's crouched down, he's getting right up.
Yeah.
He goes, I tell you what, I'm going to offer you a deal.
Yeah?
Shut up.
Yes.
You're a fucking deserter of your post. Can we agree on that?
Excuse me. If I may, they did not pay us. You cannot be called a deserter if you don't actually have a job, and having a job requires being paid. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, oh shit.
Here's your choice. If leaving is something you want to do, then fucking leave this town and never show your face again. Or,
Okay. Or?
are you going to let me fucking finish?
Shit.
Or you can stay and try to do some good in this town and not be a fucking coward and run at the first sign of adversity. So, if you leave and you come back, or if you stay and you run again, we're going to wall you up in the basement of this keep. And there's people keeping their fucking eye on you, and I'm not going to tell you who that is.
He starts looking around him as if he might find them. They are obviously not there to be found. And he turns back and...
Before you decide, just so you know, there is a ghost in the basement of this keep that you'd be walled up next to. So keep that in mind as you make your fucking decision.
Is that why they wouldn't let us go down here?
That's one of the reasons.
Oh, shit. He looks at you. He looks at Victor. He looks at you. He looks at Victor. He looks in the air. He looks at you. Looks at Victor. And then you see this sort of transformation of his physicality as he clearly just got a bright idea. And he says, understood. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Well, what's your choice?
I think I should leave. I don't want to get into my bad ways again. Feel free, Robert. Make a sense motive if you want to. Johnny, you can throw that in too if you want.
No, I'm going to let this one. I'm going to let this one go.
Yeah. Vic's just here for support on this.
I've got a 19 on the sense motive.
I'll tell you this.
That's a rolled 19.
Yes. I think Grip is processing that mischievous grin not as that he's lying, but that he got a very clever idea about a safe place he may go to.
Oh, I hope it's the old manor house.
Live with the rats!
Oh.
So he clearly thinks he's
found a loophole.
maybe not that. He clearly thinks like he's outsmarting you in some way.
I mean,
but that he's gonna leave. That he think that he's vowed to you. He's gonna leave, and that he's gonna leave. But maybe he thinks he's thought of a place to go that blow your mind. I don't know. That you'd never imagine.
all right,
Fair enough.
fair enough. And he gives him like a big fucking finger right on the chest as he makes his last point.
Yeah, just wrap him in the sternum.
Or a heart punch.
Yes. Then we open the door and let him scamper out.
Yeah.
Like a dog.
Before he does,
Yeah.
Victor has been sort of having his hat kind of low where you can't see his eyes.
Yeah.
And he like pulls his gaze up so that he like locks eyes with him once.
Yeah.
And then does the thing of like pointing to his two eyes.
Yes.
And then pointing back at him.
I think of that one piece of Matt's art.
Yeah, it's so good.
Like, just like
got
Roni
my-
under the hat. Yeah, I got my eyes on you. Yeah. Perfect. Then he scampers away like a coward. Okay.
What a despicable creature.
He's a little lonesome.
Praise.
He kind of is that guy, isn't he? Okay. As that's wrapping up, we'll be heading over to hook up with Dora for the download of information. And as you are all making your way to meet together, the Sleepless Agency folks report in like late in the afternoon with Bates on their success. They were out looking for the missing dwarven families. Yeah. They had some success. They found one of the two families. Not sure about the fate of the rest, but Bates is pretty confident that they're going to find their trail. That between the five of them, they've got eyes like eagles, that they're going to get this all sorted out. Allard is sort of at the front of the group, and he's got something large and flat, sort of wrapped up in a sheet, and it's like, oh, I want to show you all this. Gern's daughter is she's a woodworker, and she made us a new sign. We really can't be a Sleepless Agency anymore with Cassadia gone. That was her. I mean, technically it's also her trademark, so we can't use it. But the rules here, I tell you. But we don't want to pretend that we are operating in her name anymore. So we had this made. And he unveils it, and it's a new sign to hang out the front of their business. And there are 4 circle-shaped sigils arranged very artfully around this sign. Inside one, there is a short sword crossed with a shield. Inside one, the alchemical torch. Inside one, this highly stylized, unblinking eye with jagged lines of power radiating from it. And the last one is the hand of a frog, open with like gentle waves of power flowing out of it like water. So the Dora lines are all jagged and sharp, and the Dabs lines are all smooth and flowy. We're going to call ourselves the Four. Now, after us, but in honor of you. And I just wanted you to know that as long as the sign of the Four looks down over Thrushmore, we're going to make sure that everyone here gets the help that they need. And they will tousle Bates's hair because he's standing right there, and his hair is imminently tousleable.
Nice nod.
I got to say, that was well
Doyle
done.
There.
Yeah.
There's more of that coming. So then we meet up with Dora. Vic has his time he wants to take away with the books. Well, it's time for Dabs to go off and do some spell prep.
Great.
Where's Dabs heading today?
Dabwick is sitting at the top of the tower in Fort Hillcourse, most close to Iris Hill, where they can look out over the top of Iris Hill as much as possible and see.
Oh, yeah. That happens to be the tower that you all snuck down invisibly 1,000 sessions ago. So, yeah, absolutely.
Great. So Dabwick's up there, and to be honest, Dabwick still has a small bee in their bonnet left over from the fight with Millicent, and that's what Dabwick's... The thing is it's always the case around the world that being small means you're being underestimated, often dismissed. And it's true, we judge books by their covers all the time, understandably so. If you live in a world of mortal danger most of your life, full of magic and monsters, you got to be careful about who you make your alliances with, right? But Millicent called Dabwick a pet. So it's true that halflings are subjected to enslavement and pushed to the fringes of society more often than not in Galarian, but Dabwick's more accustomed to the way things are in Casimir, where halflings enjoy a higher status. They're afforded a little more dignity. They're catered to with more respect. Damn it, Dabwick even has an official role in the city. They are the premier honorary building inspector, damn it. Dabwick carefully removes the vellum from its case. It's been days, since they last traced their fingertip across the calligraphy that identifies them as Dabwick of Casimir. Here's proof. I know who I am. I'm no one's flippin' pet. I'm Dabwick of Casimir. And the rest of the world blurs around the edges as Dabwick falls into this name. Written and spoken, given and claimed, Dabwick of Casimir. Dabwick of Casimir was revealed to the world in the fall of 4705, 13 years ago, the year the bats came to Quickfall Abbey. Now, Quickfall Abbey is a ruined temple located in the center of the Abbey Green district of Casimir. The abbey was once, as the high temple to the god Eridan, the center of Casimir, but over the past century, it has died, just as Eridan did, molded over into a haunted, derelict portion of city space that was best avoided, especially at night. And in 4705, to the distress of anyone living nearby, multiple colonies of bats were drawn to the area. Hipposideridae, a leaf-nosed, red-haired, unusually aggressive bat. They filled the skies at night, screaming and flapping their leathery wings and driving fear into the heart of the community. Children howled in terror. Parents barred the doors. Nobody slept. Tempers mounted. Fights became commonplace. A dread sorrow of helplessness sank into the soul of the populace. Now, Dabbs wasn't known then. They were still just a kid, really, beginning to understand things around the city, doing lots of observing and trying to stay out of trouble. After they'd moved to the surface full-time, the language and mannerisms were easier to pick up, and they got along as many street urchins do in large cities like this. A little scavenging, a few odd jobs here and there. Mostly, they survived on opportunity and observation, and a little of Desna's luck, of course. Dabwick noticed tensions mounting among the humans and decided they should do something. And if you were paying attention, you might have noticed what looked like an eerily serious child marching down the alleyways, calling out,
"The thing with bats, see, they're just like you and me. We've nothing to be afraid of. They're insectivores, love."
It was all so frustrating. The Longshanks got it all wrong, as always. They think everything has to do with them all the time. We need to educate them, eh? Help them to understand what we understand. So they kept trying.
"Our bat friends are not here to cause us distress. They've come from the forest to decompress. They came here to rest, and it's all for the best. Come springtime, they'll likely return to their nests."
Unfortunately, Dabwick's poems weren't drawing enough attention, and Dabwick overheard some of the people talking about hiring spellcasters to take the bats out by blasting the sky with fire. Desperate for inspiration, Dabwick dug deep into their connection to the city, deep into their understanding. Bats' natural environment is the dark. They are near blind. But Hipposideridae are not totally blind. They can sense light. What if the lights from the city windows, 3 stories tall in Abbey Green, were messing with the bats' nocturnal rhythms? If they did come from Blackwood Swamp, the bats were probably disoriented by the evening atmosphere of Casimir, which has light pouring in from windows and street torches until dawn. With a renewed purpose for finding a way to get people's attention, the halfling tied her handkerchief to the end of a branch and began waving it about as they chanted their messages, and they called out confidently the most absurd cadence heard in the area before or since.
"Candlesticks give too much light, so dab your wicks after midnight. Dab your wicks after midnight to save us from this batty plight. The light, the light, bats need the night. Without darkness, they've gone to flight. So dab your wicks after midnight and quiet the bats' trespass outright."
That one stuck. Dabbers had cracked the code of rhyme and reason and somehow created a message that had started to filter through the community. People started to point and take notice, hear what Dabbs was saying. That dusky-looking halfling kid with the piercing eyes and the sad little flag was saying something that made some sense. It was worth a try. Turn out the lights, or shade them, we don't have to go without, as many a wise mother would say, and the bats may have an easier time navigating and won't stay up all night being a nuisance. That kid, that Dabwick kid, that Dabwick. I know all kinds of things, and I'm learning and changing and getting stronger every day. I'm Dabwick of Casimir, miss. Flip you.
I saved the bats of Abbey Green. I'll save the rats of Iris Hill too.
Nice.
Yay.
Nobody's pet.
I'm nobody's pet,
That was awesome.
but I do know poems.
So as Dabbs is meditating and reflecting on how they got their name, and Victor is pouring through this, not proof, information about Dr. Gulliver Vaticus, Dora has time here to slip in a psychometry here.
Yeah.
What's today's plan?
It's Tima's spell book.
The old ratty spell book that I've
Yes.
been carrying around.
So
We do a little trade off. You'd be like,
Yeah. Here's the journals. Can I have that book?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
very good. So let's get that perception check as Dora sits down with her crystal.
And I can use Burst of Insight.
You can.
So this will be a +4 to this roll. 35.
Oh, okay. All right. Great. I only have one vision for this, but of course,
It's a doozy.
Dora gets it. I don't know. We are at
Yeah,
the
we
point-
might be past this,
We might
right?
be past doozies. There's
But
certainly got
all
information.
about Tima at this point that comes not from Tima
Yeah.
is valuable to Dora.
Yes. So you hold that disgusting old spellbook in your hand. Rotted, probably at one point urine-soaked, covered in the flaky remnants of dead fungus, and sink into the river of time. And it stops. Dora finds herself inside the master bedroom atop the guest house. Can you place yourself there, Katie?
Yes.
This is the room where
We blew up a
Roni
trap, right?
blew up a
Yeah.
trap, and you were over at the desk looking out the front window going through Tima's papers. Turns out, of course, Tima's stuff was no longer there. You found eventually, but you've got almost the exact same view out the window, out into the front court of Iris Hill, which is not all twisted and rotted. It seems actually moderately well kept, but alive.
Yeah.
It's a place where people are living. Dora sees a woman in her late 40s or early 50s sitting at the desk in front of the window. She's tall and slender, warm metallic skin, cold metallic hair, blazing violet eyes. It's Dora's body, but Dora is not in it. Tima has the spellbook open on the desk in front of her. It's not torn up and destroyed at the moment, obviously. Next to it lies the narcotic manuscripts. It's nearly impossible to find a copy anywhere on this planet. But Munn managed to find one. This particular one, bound in devil flesh, as far as Tima has been able to research. Tima has been writing for nearly 5 hours straight now. The sun is going to set soon. This is the most powerful spell she's ever inscribed in her own spellbook, copying it from the narcotic manuscripts. It's the most powerful spell she'll ever have cast when she casts tonight for the first time. She's flush with excitement and pride and accomplishment and pride. So much pride, it's practically punching out of her. This nearly bottomless well of pride is the source of the psychic significance of this otherwise quiet and simple moment in a wizard's life. The handwriting, have we done this before? It's not Dora's handwriting. I mean, it is, but it's being made with her left hand. So it's like it's a warped mirror of Dora's handwriting. Oh, maybe I can tell from your face this hasn't come up. So understanding what she's now looking at, Dora thinks she might be able to recognize Tima's handwriting as well as she'd recognize her own moving forward because it's made with a completely different hand.
Question.
Yes.
The only other time I've recognized my handwriting is from the violin note.
That was Dora's hand.
Whoa.
Not Tima's. Tima, from the way she used that body, could not form those letters in that fashion.
Wow.
My mind is blown.
As Tima writes, A small black and orange fox, sleek and smart, alert and protective, darts back and forth through the room, slipping out the door to keep an eye on the top of the stairs, slipping back into the bedroom to leap up on top of the desk and cast its gaze out on the courtyard. Reynard is, of course, unflaggingly vigilant and looking out for his mistress. The work of a familiar never ends, but Tima only has eyes for her spell and herself and her own accomplishments. As I said, she writes with her left hand, while her right hand alternates between two activities. For a time, it gently strokes the set of finger bones laid neatly before the book. There's some sort of ritual going on here, something OCD-like. There's a pattern of touch the tip of the finger, touch a knuckle, switch fingers, repeat, run a finger down the length of a finger, switch, repeat, run a finger down the set from the left to right, repeat, then run right to left, rinse, repeat, Daria. The mental focus needed to write a 5th-level arcane spell into a spellbook is intense. So you imagine this is happening automatically, like it's something she has done thousands of times. And then when the ritual with Daria's bones is complete, Tima's right hand engages in another essentially unconscious activity. While her left hand scratches its way across the page with a fountain pen, her right hand snakes up her chest, up the side of her throat, and buries itself in the thick layer of gray-purple fungus coating the backside of her neck. And she sighs, as if touching the fungus simultaneously lights up her pleasure centers and deadens her humanity. The fungus seems to have originated from inside her ears, where it crawled out and spread to the back of her neck, and presumably elsewhere. You see, this is what happens, Dora, when you focus on God, when you send him your love, when you spill your soul into your dreams and his dreams, and you cultivate the process. The others don't understand. Well, the Count does, of course. They've almost become twisted siblings in a way. And why not? They've both read so much and learned so much and cultivated so much and grown so much. Their vision is clear because they do not fight the great transformation. They embrace it and its consequences. You see, they see the beauty of the grand plan. They see their role in it. They embrace their part in Jamandor's majesty. They know what they must become. As the woman driving Dora's body writes the final arcane rune into her spellbook, she writhes in pleasure, and the vision fades. And that's the end of chapter 87. We'll pick up there. Dark Nexus is a creation of Plug and Hum Productions. This podcast uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, which are used under Paizo's community use policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. This podcast is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo Inc. For more information about Paizo's community use policy, please visit paizo.com/communityuse. And for more information about Paizo and Paizo products, please visit paizo.com. That's PAIZO.com. Dark Nexus uses music and soundscapes by Sirenscape. Check them out at sirenscape.com. That's SYRINSCAPE.com. Opening and closing themes, along with additional music, composed by Rob Kauzlaric. Artwork for Dark Nexus is by Matt Wahlquist. Special thanks to Toy, without whose generosity this project would not have been possible. And thanks to DMCP, Richard and Ari, Paul and Shannon, Chris, Scotty, Jason, Jess, Joe, Chelsea, Matt, Dave, Darren, and everyone we've gamed with over the years for all the memories and inspiration.
WTPK.
Oh,
Brilliant. Love it.
Tag,
That was
season
good.
2 tag.